Hello, my name is Gavin Scott, and for the best part of the last 3/4 of a century, I've been taking enormous pleasure in reading some of the greatest books, plays and poems ever written. My plan is to use this podcast to share them with you, not just telling you the authors and titles, but reading short extracts from each of them, which I hope will bring you some of the delight and satisfaction they've brought me over the years. Knowing how busy we all are, I've edited the extracts for clarity and to try to keep each episode to around 5 minutes. But I hope you'll bear with me if I break my own rules occasionally. So here's the first choice, an extract from a little-known thriller by the author of a very well-known thriller, The 39 Steps, John Buchan. Buchan was born in Perth, Scotland in 1875, brought up in Fife, and spent his summer holidays with his grandparents on the Scottish borders, where he fell in love with the scenery and the wildlife. He got a scholarship to Oxford, made many friends, wrote the first of 50 books, and left to help administer Southern Africa after the Boer War. When he came back to London, he went to work for the publishers Thomas Nelson, and in 1915 shot to fame with the war conspiracy thriller The 39 Steps, followed by 4 more, featuring its hero, Richard Hannay. One of the last is The Island of Sheep, produced 2 decades after The 39 Steps in 1936, in which Hannay takes his family and a hunted Norwegian called Haraldson to the castle of Lavelaw in his beloved Scottish border country, where he can hide from a devious group of conspirators seeking a treasure discovered by Haraldson's father. There's plenty of plot and plenty of action, but what I love about the book and the passage I'm about to read is the way Buchan makes you feel as if you're actually in the place that he's describing, and could stay there forever. I know that if I ever want to retreat mentally to a place of perfect safety and serenity, it's Buchan's Lavelaw, for which I'd pack my bags. This extract is from Chapter 8 of The Island of Sheep, entitled Sanctuary. Lavelaw is 8 miles from a railway station and the little village of Hangingshaw, and the road to it follows a shallow valley between grassy uplands till the hills grow higher, and only the size of the stream shows you that you haven't reached the head of the glen. Then it passes between 2 steep hillsides, where there's only room for it and the burn, rounds a corner and enters an amphitheatre a mile or 2 square, bounded by steep heather hills, with the hill called Lammerlaw heaving up its great shoulders at the far end. The house stands at the junction of 4 avenues of ancient beeches. The castle keep is 13th century, and most of the rest is late 16th century. There are lawns and pleasances and a wonderful walled garden, and then you're among the heather again, for the moorlands lap around the castle as the sea laps a reef. Beyond the containing walls of the valley lie heathy uplands, hiding an infinity of glens and burns, nameless except to herdsmen and gamekeepers. The highway stops short at the castle, and beyond it a drover's track makes its way to the English border. The place is so perfect that the first sight of it catches the breath, for it's like a dream of all that is habitable and gracious. But it's also as tonic as mid-ocean and as lonely as the African veldt. In a week the place had laid such a spell on us that the quiet of the glen seemed to have been about us since the beginning of time. The days passed in a delightful ease. We walked and rode over the hills and picnicked by the distant waters. The streams were low and the fishing was poor, but it was lotus-eating weather in a place which might have been the Tir na Nog, the Celtic land of perpetual youth. Until, of course, the villains find a way of infiltrating them, and then the fun begins. But I leave that part to you, if you too decide to visit the Island of Sheep.